What's up, everyone? I am No BS, and unfortunately, your office sucks. Probably. Let's talk about it. Whether you like it or not, commuting, going into the office is just not the same as it used to be. Many companies are switching to hybrid and remote work environments. If you don't have a good home office, you might be more easily distracted, you might be struggling with all sorts of little annoyances, and you might even be caused physical pain. As much as I feel like Dr. Oz saying that, I'm not like Dr. Oz in the sense that I'm not making any money off of this video or anything that you might buy in relation to this video. But I'm gonna try and avoid recommending specific products because no one's paying me and I'm not really married to any particular brand. I think there's plenty of good stuff out there that will suit your needs just fine. With that all said, let's jump into it and talk about how to make your office suck less. On the topic of being caused pain from working from home, I know that this sounds kind of weird and maybe a little bit fear-mongery. The reason I care about this is because I know a few different people that have actually been caused pain from working from home. Most important to me was my mom. After she'd been working at home for a couple of months, she started to experience wrist pain and just said that she felt like she was kind of getting older. She wasn't able to do push-ups and she's always been in really good physical shape. I encouraged her to look at getting a better home office setup. And fortunately, after she switched with the recommendations I used, she no longer experienced wrist pain and was pretty much back at it as active as ever. Obviously, I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep, but if you have started to experience aches and pains, especially in your wrists and arms or shoulders, it might be because your home office is very bad for ergonomics and you're just sitting in that position for a long time. Not a lot of people think about it, but a lot of us work for about the same amount of time that we're laying in bed every night. So small changes to how things fit together can make just as much of a difference as if you're sleeping on a bed that is old and worn out. The first thing that I would recommend upgrading in your home office is your office chair. The fact of the matter is, it is supporting your body for about 40 hours of the week, give or take, and if it's not comfortable, then you're gonna have a bad time.
Gonna have a bad time.
So where's the part where we have a good time?
Given how different everyone is built in terms of size and shape and weight and everything, it's really hard for me to provide a specific recommendation. One thing that I will tell you to actively avoid is basically any gaming style chairs. A lot of the chairs that kind of look like they belong in a race car are not built very well, they don't have great padding, and they're really overpriced for the kind of build quality that you're getting. So in general, I would recommend trying to avoid those. I would say the best thing that you can do is just run down to your local office supply store, whether that's Staples or Office Max or whatever, and just try sitting in a bunch of different chairs. You probably want to spend between $200 and $300 for a brand new chair. A couple of tips for buying are that mesh is really fantastic if you tend to run hot and get sweaty kind of easily. This will help be a lot more breathable and more cool during the workday. Leather is very nice as it's quite cushy and it feels kind of like a nice soft couch. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable in the chair, that you're able to have your arms supported and be able to approach a desk without having to pull your shoulders up or bend at weird angles so that you can comfortably use a desk. A lot of office stores also have desks that you can just kind of roll up to, so you can try that as well. You can definitely get a comfortable chair for under $250, depending on what you're looking for. If that kind of price point sounds really high to you, there are a few other options for those of you who are either cheap or just can't afford something that's a little bit nicer. The first one that I would absolutely recommend looking into is finding one for free. Now, I don't mean finding one that's sitting over by the dumpster in your apartment complex. Instead, what you can do is ask your company. If your company either still has or used to have an in-person office that is nearby, you can ask them if you could just have one of the chairs from the office. They might stipulate that you have to give it back when you leave, but they might just let you take it without issue. I was actually able to get one of these from a company I used to work at, and I was able to give it to my girlfriend's mom, who was sitting on an old, aesthetically pleasing wooden chair that had no adjustment. And if that's not an option, you can always try going to either your local thrift store or browsing on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I still recommend looking at a home office store, and you might even be able to find exactly the same chair that you found there for 10% of the price. Now, the same rules apply here as the chair, wherein you might be able to find a free, nice quality desk from your office if they no longer need it. So check there first. If free or very cheap is not an option, then I can personally attest that there's a lot of great sit-to-stand desks that are available on places like Amazon. I'm currently using an Amazon desk that I was able to find. I think this one was around $250. My mom also got one for a similar price from a different company that was basically built the same. I've been using this desk for about 2 years and I haven't had any issues with it. My only tiny complaint is that there's a little bit of flex in the wood because it's made out of 2 separate pieces, but that's a very small and easily ignorable problem. I do really recommend finding a sit-to-stand desk. You might not be the kind of person that likes to run on a treadmill while you're working and creating the annual budget for your company, but it's still really nice to have the option to stand up. I personally always like to stand when I am meeting new people or if I'm giving a presentation or something like that. It just feels a lot more professional, and it's always nice to be able to move around a little bit rather than stir in my chair when somebody asks an uncomfortable question. Even if you plan on never standing in front of your desk while you're working, I still recommend getting one because it allows you to adjust the height to fit your chair. Another reality of working from home is that most of us don't have the space to have our personal computer in one spot and then our work computer in another spot. And this creates a lot of extra clutter, and you're probably not happy with how your desk looks if you have a personal computer and you're sharing a desk for 2 different tasks. For a lot of people, using a work computer and a personal computer at the same desk means that you have your 2 keyboards, 2 mice, maybe 2 monitors, and they're just sort of all haphazardly connected together, and you're always getting wires tangled everywhere. One of the biggest recommendations I can make is looking into wireless keyboards and mice. A little while ago, I picked up this Razer Basilisk X Hyperspeed, which supports both 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth connection. In English, that means that I can easily switch this little button on the bottom to change between my personal computer and my work computer whenever I want to. As opposed to having 2 mice, I have this one that is able to pull double duty. The best part is that nowadays, wireless mice aren't even very expensive. If you want to use it for 2 different computers, I highly recommend that you get something that has both Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz connection. That just means that it's a USB adapter that you can plug into your computer, and then it'll make switching extremely easy. This mouse was less than $50, and there are plenty of other options if you want something that's a little bit less flashy. As far as keyboards, I got this Logitech K380, which honestly is probably the only product in the list that I would specifically recommend buying. This is a really handy keyboard. It supports connection to 3 different Bluetooth devices, and it's also compatible with both PC and Mac, and best of all, I regularly see these selling for about $30. It's nice and small, fully wireless, and I'm able to just move it out of the way when I don't need to do work stuff. There's not a ton to say about this, and unless you're a keyboard nerd, I don't have a ton to add. It's comfortable to type on. The battery life seems to be really solid, and I haven't had any issues with it not connecting to my computer. It's also really nice that they sell this keyboard in a lot of different colors, so if you're trying to make your desk look a little bit more fun, then that's another plus. Next up, let's talk about that work laptop. Unfortunately, a lot of businesses just don't spend a lot of money on work laptops. It's not too surprising, but the reality is that your laptop is probably sitting in the corner somewhere, sounding like a jet engine trying to take off, and that gets pretty annoying pretty fast. Honestly, a lot of laptops just aren't meant to be used as full desktops using 2 or 3 screens all the time, but there are a couple of tips that I can give you to help quiet down your computer and even make it work a little bit faster. When I was in school, I had a professor that would put a tie on whenever he had to tell you to do something, and he wasn't able to explain it in adequate detail. Now, the fact of the matter is that computers need to be kept cool in order to work properly. In the old days, if you pushed a computer too hard and it wasn't cooled properly, you could start a fire. But these days, computers will simply reduce their performance in order to keep themselves more cool. They'll run the fans really high, and they'll basically just be really slow. So for that reason, it's important that your computer stays cool in order to run at its best. One of the easiest ways that you can help keep your computer cool is by running your AC a little bit cooler. Of course, that's kind of expensive, and your house is probably already at a comfortable temperature, so that might not be super practical. If you're using separate monitors for your laptop, not working off it directly, I actually recommend flipping your laptop upside down and opening it. It looks stupid, but as the old saying goes, if it looks dumb but it works, It's not stupid. Basically, this allows your laptop to breathe a little bit more easily. It's able to draw in air more easily since the fans are located on the bottom, and a lot of laptops are optimized to work best when the laptop is open, so this will help keep it more cool. Even though it looks dumb, it will actually make an impact on how fast your laptop works. Another thing that I recommend doing is adjusting the power slider on your laptop to max performance. This basically allows your laptop to prioritize more power usage and run the processor at a faster speed so that your computer will run more smoothly, rather than trying to preserve the battery that you're not using since your laptop's probably plugged in. And lastly but not leastly, one of the best things that you can do to help improve your work from home experience is actually upgrading your Wi-Fi. I wanted to leave this at the last slot because this isn't always an option. Depending on your area, how awful the network providers are there, you might not be able to upgrade a whole lot, but you might be surprised that it only costs maybe $10 or $20 to get much faster internet speeds. This will actually make a pretty big difference to everything that you're doing online, whether it be browsing the internet, watching shows on streaming services, or even online gaming. This is definitely something that's worth looking into, and especially if you're able to split the cost with roommates or things like that, it can have a pretty great impact on how easy it is to work from home. If you found this video useful, please leave a like down below, and if you found this video awful and poorly presented, then please subscribe so that you can comment on more of my videos and increase my engagement. Thank you very much for your time. I'm NoBS, and I will see you soon.